It's February 2015, and once again, love is in the air. These three remained: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. We are here today at International Central Gospel Church, Dominion Temple. They're celebrating the Lord's flower. Today is a special day. It's all about love. It's all about couples and the single ones. They're putting together a special program for interactive talk with singles and also with the couples. And I'm talking to you now from BBT. My name is Portia Asare. To my left is Mr. and Mrs. Nansmoni. They've been married for 5 years. Welcome to African Christian Network. So what can you tell me about the program today?
Oh, I think it's a very good program because most of the time you think you know and you think you have a successful marriage till something like this. You know, it's enlightening you to, be aware of stuff, because now I realize nobody is immune to divorce. It can happen to anybody. So, I'm glad I came.
Yeah, I believe he spoke about some things that kind of sparked, our interest. What are some of the questions that came up, or some thoughts of him that came up that you weren't, knowledgeable of before, and then you're like, oh.
Actually, I'm aware of all of it, but most of the time you think, as you said, you think you're a Christian, you think you get everything right, but a message like this helps you, to be vigilant, because anything can happen. Especially sometimes you get tired, especially work and children and stuff. So most of the time you think, okay, that's it, you're tired, you go to bed and you neglect each other. So I think spending time with each other is very important, and communication too.
We are at BBT. Next to me is Reverend Marca Santimeno. At this seminar, they spoke about courtship, they spoke about marriage, they spoke about alcohol and marriages and all sort of things. Reverend, what is your input on courtship before marriage?
It is very, very important. It helps you to study the person you're going to marry. It helps you to understand certain things about the person. It is not good for you to marry somebody you don't know something about him. So courtship is good. That is when you study each other to know your likes and dislikes. But as a Christian, the most important thing is to make sure that you keep trust between the two of you. And one way you can break the trust is sleeping during courtship. What happened is that if you allow me to sleep with you during courtship, what will happen when we are married and I travel? So this kind of trust must be kept during courtship. And so it's good for us to court, but we also have to create some barriers so that it will help us to trust each other even into marriage.
Correct. Another question we have here on the list is actually, should a believer be allowed to wed the second time after the first marriage doesn't work, after the first marriage is dissolved?
Divorce is not okay. The Bible actually do not really support divorce, but in a situation where the divorce has come itself, like a partner has abandoned a partner for a long time and the marriage is break, the trust is not there anymore. Such a believer can go ahead and marry. Or you are married and your partner is not a believer, non-believer, he or she decide to leave the marriage. The Bible allows it to happen, and you can remarry. Your partner is dead, you can remarry. But in a situation where you have seen another woman, and because you love the other woman, you want to push your wife away or husband away to get into remarry, that is what God will not support, and it's not good. It's not biblical.
Mr. and Miss Amiel, how long have you guys been married for?
5 months. 5 months.
5 months. Oh my God. So we are really, really in the honeymoon stages. How have you benefited from this program?
We got more information on how to build a sustained marriage to last.
I mean, he spoke about us being immune to divorce. What can you say about that? Do you think we are immune to divorce or we are not immune to divorce? Because they asked the question, are we immune to divorce?
I don't think anybody is immune to divorce because, as he said, anybody, if you don't hold on to the 5 cords, you could easily lose your marriage. So, and even if it's not separating, there are the 2 other stages in which you could lose your marriage. So.
Correct. I see you nodding your head. What can you say about that?
I'm just confirming what she's saying. So we just have to work on the 5 main primary chords, and if you work on it, your marriage will be sustained.
And what are you taking home with you?
Just to hold on to the 5 primary chords and also make sure one is not neglected.
Miss Marjorie to my right actually just got engaged today. Miss Marjorie, congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you feeling right now? Today is Valentine's Day, February 2015, and you are engaged. How is that feeling?
I feel very amazing. It's actually my birthday and I got engaged today, so it's actually 2 in 1. I'm really excited and I'm happy to be with my husband. So.
Absolutely. And you're at a seminar, Love Marriage Seminar. What did you gain from this seminar?
Well, we got engaged today, so it's basically they asking, would you call that marriage? And they said, yeah, you could call it marriage. So from now on, I could say I'm married to my husband, and it's a good feeling. Yeah, I waited for this day and has come, and I'm here, and I'm really happy.
You're very happy about that. Now, can you tell us, the viewers at home, your input on courtship? You know, because I mean, you're engaged now, so you understand the process and the steps through courtship as far as, you know, your experience before in the past and now being a missus. What is your input on courtship?
One thing I learned is that as Christians, as believers, one thing they're trying to educate us is on sex. As believers, they're trying to tell us that when you're courting, you should be able to abstain from sex. That is one thing that is going against the youth. So as youth and as a believer, as a Christian, this is one of the main things that is hurting us. So we could actually learn on that and stay away from sex till marriage, if you can. I mean, yes.
Next to me is Reverend Benjamin BOAKYE, who is also a guest speaker here for today's event. I want to ask you, how do one handle conflict in a marriage?
Conflict in a marriage depends upon humbleness. One of the couple has to humble themselves, have to lower their ego, their self-pride. We do not always have to win in conflicts. We sometimes we have to let the other partner win. We need to be, as a matter of fact, excuse my language, one of the couple has to be a fool and just give the title to the other to be a wise person. Conflict may come, and it always comes because we are human beings. It seems conflict is built in us, but it depends on the way that we deal with it. When we deal with it wisely, we will ever live happily after as a couple. Yes.
So your message to us is that conflict may come, but the thing is, excuse me to say, like you said, one must be a fool. You must humble yourself and submit to the other. And speaking of submission, it doesn't, I mean, in the Bible clearly it says woman to submit to the man. Now, when conflict arises, does that mean that a man should at some point also, you know, submit to the woman?
Yes, the man should always also submit to the women, because submission to me is not defined as being stupid or a fool. But to me, submission is proving to the other person that you are mature.
Next to me is Reverend Frank Amakon, who is the guest speaker for this program. Reverend Frank, you've been a blessing to us all tonight, and you spoke about divorce. I mean, what touched your heart to give us the message of divorce as far as being the 21st century?
Divorce is an issue that affects everyone, both Christians and non-Christians. It's a global problem, and the world is becoming more and more liberal. The world used to be traditionally Christian and religious, but the Western world and the non-Western world are all are becoming less and less religious and more liberal. So the principles that undergirded marriages, it's being challenged both intellectually, technologically, and generationally. And so we see a divorce as an issue that we have to find a way to step in there with the knowledge of God, with the wisdom of God as we know it, as we believe it. Because there are certain principles that are cardinal. You destroy them and everything comes crumbling. And I've been a pastor for years. I've done marriage counseling, and I call myself marriage teacher. I teach on marriages and all that. And I realize that divorce is happening. Sometimes some things are statistically far from you. But when they hit home, when people you married, your friends, your neighbors, your church members, your children are divorcing, it's an issue that makes you wake up. And I think it's a wake-up call. It's happening.